Hello, students. This is Rakesh Kumar Meena, Assistant Professor, Government College Rajgarh. And today in this video lecture, I will explain the second section of the poem Ode to the West Wind, composed by P.B. Shelley. In the first section, we have seen the poet requests the west wind to listen to his prayer and accede to his request. He describes the dual power of west wind of being the destroyer of dead leaves and the preserver of seeds. So now I am going to start the second section of this poem. In the first tercets, the poet writes, "Thou, on whose stream, mid the steep sky's commotion, loose clouds like earth's decaying leaves are shared, shook from the tangled boughs of heaven and ocean." In these lines, the poet tells us how the west wind blows from the sky to the earth. He expresses his idea by presenting a picture which is somewhat vague and hazy. He compares the clouds which float on the surface of the wind to the leaves which fall on the earth. We can understand these lines by imagining that there is a vast tree whose roots are in the ocean and whose branches are high up in the sky. From the branches of this tree fall clouds in the same way as rotten leaves fall from an ordinary tree. These clouds from that tree fall on the surface of the west wind just as rotten leaves from a tree fall on the earth below. Further, these clouds fall on the surface of the west wind when there is unrest or tumult in the sky, when the sky shows stormy conditions. These clouds are messengers of rain and lightning. In the next two tercets, the poet writes, "Angels of rain and lightning, there are spread on the blue surface of thine airy surge, like the bright hair uplifted from the head. Oh, some fierce Maenad, even from the dim verge of the horizon to the zenith's height, the locks of approaching storm." In these lines, the poet very beautifully presents the picture of a storm that is about to blow. He says that the black hair of the storm is spread on the blue waves of the surface of the west wind. The hair of the storm covers the surface of the west wind all the way from the horizon to the highest point in the sky. The hair of the storm spread in this way is just like the disordered hair of the terrible female worshipper of the wine god Dionysus, who moved about in great intoxication with their long locks flowing in the air. What the poet means is that as his eyes travel from the horizon to the highest point in the sky above, the appearance of the sky indicates that a storm is blowing. In the next lines, the poet writes, "Thou dirge of the dying year, to which this closing night will be the dome of a vast sculpture, valuted with all thy congregated might of vapors from whose solid atmosphere black rain and fire and hail will burst. Oh, here. In these last lines of the poems, the poet presents a third picture. He imagines the whistling sound of the west wind to be the dirge of the dying year. The year is dying. The west wind is the funeral song over the death of the year. A huge tomb will also be erected over the dead year. The darkness of the night which is spreading over the earth will serve as the dome of that tomb. The dense mass of the clouds will form the ceiling of that vast grave. From the dense clouds in the sky forming this ceiling, there will fall rain, lightning, and hails upon the earth. In the end, the poet again appeals to the west wind to hear his prayer. And this is the end of the second section of the poem Ode to the West Wind. In my next video lecture, I will cover the third section of this poem. Thank you.